Now, you mentioned, as we were talking about the San Francisco 49ers, signing Brandon Aiyuk, who had been a hold-in, if you will, to the contract extension, 4 years, $120 million. But they do have bigger fish to fry. And as great as I think Brandon Aiyuk is, as important as he is to Brock Purdy, I agree with you wholeheartedly. Trent Williams is more important because you know this, Ephraim, better than me. Their offensive line last year was not like great. It was bottom third in the league, and that was with Trent Williams, who, to your point, is probably the best left tackle and offensive lineman, period, in the league. And so without him, Brock Purdy would be running for his life. The holes wouldn't quite be what they have been for Christian McCaffrey. So they need to get Trent Williams. And I think they will because Trent has shown he'll sit out.
Oh, yeah.
He'll sit out. And unlike Aiyuk, he's been paid before. Now, some people might not like, I got no issue with Trent trying to get paid more, right? Because this will be his last big deal. And he has been the driving force on that offensive line for this team. Some people might not like, he's got 3 years left on his deal, but they aren't guaranteed. So he wants that stuff locked in and guaranteed, and I can't blame him for that. But where are you at on this? I imagine you think it's going to get done because, look, it's Super Bowl or bust for the Niners.
Yeah.
And without Trent Williams, it's going to be bust. So they need to get him taken care of.
Yeah, it has to happen. And like you said, I think the urgency to get Brandon Aiyuk in and under contract lends to what you just said about it's Super Bowl or bust, right? When you're teetering around the party, right? When you're hanging out outside, always invited to the party.
Yep.
Like when you get to the door of the biggest party in the world and you're there and you're like, oh, we up next. Oh, we at capacity. Sorry, y'all. We maybe next year, all right? Yep. So the next year you get there, you're in line early because there's a sense of urgency. All right, we got to get there. All right, man, boom. Everybody with you, we get there, you get up to the door. I'm sorry, guys, we're at capacity. Now it becomes, okay, well, we ain't going, right? So now you start to lose the faith in stepping up and going to the party. So there's a sense of urgency. This is one of those years, and I think for those who watch the Netflix special Receivers,
yeah,
I think they had Debo and Kittle on there, and I think hearing how they spoke about losing the year prior, going into last year, like we going to come back to the Super Bowl, we going to get there and we going to win it. And then going on that journey all last season, them being the best team in the league, running up against the Eagles when they were 10-1 and demolishing them. And postseason, all of those things, and you get back to the Super Bowl, you have it there, it's yours, and you lose again. That's more demoralizing than anything. And so
how tough is that going to be? Because we've seen teams with Super Bowl hangovers that seemed to get a chokehold on the Eagles last year. You know, even earlier when they were winning all those games,
they weren't playing anybody.
They weren't right. Yeah. They weren't playing that well. It has not been a good offseason. This is good news for the Niners today, but it has not been a good offseason for them. Do you think they're strong candidates for a Super Bowl hangover?
I don't think they're a strong candidate for the Super Bowl hangover. I think they're immensely talented across the board, offensive, defensively. I think I'm a fan of Brock Purdy. I think they have multiple weapons. They can simplify the game. They can control. A lot of teams can't do both. What we're seeing now in the NFL, a lot of teams can't control the time of possession and air it out down the field. You got to pick your poison. They're one of the teams that can do both. That bodes well for them. You can get in a game or a bad weather game when you got to really slug it out and you got to get 3 yards, 4 yards to carry, or you know, a lot of their pass plays act as running plays, right? A lot of RPOs.
Yep.
And so they're built for the season. They're built to be able to step up to any opponent and match whatever you want to bring. Now with Trent Williams there, they're a superpower because if you can just not worry about a whole, just like a cornerback, a lockdown, like Revis Island and Deion Sanders, the Champ Bailey, some of the great cornerbacks you can do so much defensively. It's the same with offense. If you have a whole side of the offensive line, which is normally where the best defensive rusher is rushing, on the defense's right side, your left side, you can do anything you want over here.
Right.
It's so much freedom and play calling and ways you can attack a team that can keep them off kilter, because essentially you're neutralizing their best defensive player when it comes to the front seven. So having that locked in, I don't think they're going to be subject to a Super Bowl hangover, because the pieces are there. The pieces are there. The problem is, it's hard every season to be the best team in the regular season, and then get to the biggest game and not follow it through, or the second biggest game in terms of the championship game. That begins to wear on you, because now the regular season isn't as important, because you've dominated that for the last 4 or 5 years with no payoff. That's the problem. Like, you have to keep your guys locked into how important these games are, and not just focus on the big game, the last game.